Hello everyone, we're going to be doing some more Great Ace Attorney today. And I'm just going to... Today is going to be shorter than the previous two streams. Mainly because I need to get some sleep today. Dear God, I haven't gotten much sleep these past 2 days. But aside from that, I have to do some important stuff earlier tomorrow in the morning. So yeah, today is going to be like probably around 3 hours or 3-ish hours long. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. Now we left it off right here where we came into the room that is next to Kazuma's room. And we just found this gentleman here. Which, I mean, let's talk with them. See what we find. Mr. Roylott, we would like to talk to you about something. No. Oh, I do not want to talk. Leave my cabin now. This is going terribly. We're not getting anywhere here. I agree, but there may be someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Roylott. This is literally me when there is a cabin, well, a wardrobe, and I can just jump into. Mr. Roylott, would like to talk to you about something? No, yeah, this is the same thing. Yeah, this is, again, the same thing. Okay, let's see. What do you think you're doing? This is my cabin, get out! Could we just have a quick look inside your traveling case, perhaps? No! Pero bueno. What a pity. I think we're out of luck. I think you're right. There doesn't appear to be anything more we can do. I agree. But yeah, we need to talk with the detective, either we want it or not. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed, I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of detection into service. This guy's a smartass. I love him. And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you're spot on for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Holy water? I don't know, I have like a little idea. Why, the truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secrets he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh yes, please. Well then, what are you about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Greatly in detail. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time it occurs to me Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianese? Or Russian on account of his dubiousness? Well, Russianness? Dubiousness? Deviousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you. Or anyone. That's right. And Mr. Sholmes. I know this man's beard and darker glasses are hard to ignore, especially in first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. Shh! I must have complete silence. Oh, what are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. You literally only looked at the guy. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you're about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Huh. And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Ugh. Oh, Naruhodo-san, I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What ineffable twaddle. Oh yes, I've read about it countless times in The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. And now, I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. She's like so happy, and I'm very happy for her. But we're still the prime suspects, so we need to get on with the actual truth quick. I can hardly believe it, but all the color has drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How? No, how? How could you? How could I possibly know such things, you wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So do I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Old man's identity. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously what catches the eye in the first place. When did he have time to install that spotlight? Is the enormous pair of shears in your hand? Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer is plain. You have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, in particular the fascinating front page article. Which, it will appear, you have read also, Mr. Roylott. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary violent Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, villain Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Topic number 2. Wrongdoing. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that troubling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation. A young lady, perhaps. One slight enough to fit therein. Don't be absurd. And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Hear me. We're not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. For this another most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page, renowned prima ballerina of the Nova Beach Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. Conclusion: kidnapping of a young ballerina. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this Russian enigma, Elementsky. Susato-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Holmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Holmes, could you come over here for a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions, would you mind? Not at all, go on. Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but... these two men look nothing like each other. Ah, yes, I recall our discussion earlier. And at the time, I believe I told you. And the man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Holmes, Mr. Roylott does look more like this man than you do. But not the point. And another thing, that part about him abducting the ballerina? Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You would be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you push really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out from the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain lightness in their bodies. Vinegar? Or such is our bond, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. Oh, this whole thing is turning into a circus. For real, Nosuke. Mr. Naruhodo, something occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of a matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seem a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Miss Susato. It's just one or two keywords in his deductions that seem to let him down. I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some keywords in his deductions. Yes, but very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we would unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man is a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone puts up with me. It's not that funny, really. Ah, and you, my good fellow. I'm sorry? Take a moment to look at your wrists. My wrists? Hello. Ah, where are your handcuffs? Huh? How did... I felt that I may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel. So do we think that he actually took them off without us noticing, or were the handcuffs I don't know, they had some remote system to open up and fall on their own? Because he's wearing all of this gear and stuff, it wouldn't be surprising at all. And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we're finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I would rather stay like this. So, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Holmes. Topic 1. Old man's identity. Conclusion, a revolutionary on the run. So, the obvious looking Russian Mr. Roylott, obviously, what catches the eye in the first place. Is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is... I'm just going to skip this until they say new lines. Ah, here it is. I'm not so sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I will ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though. It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylott either. Means, I suppose, that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a keyword here, Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps matters. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylott. I wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deduction better, then what? Then I will leave the rest in your capable hands, Naruhodo-san. Why am I the one to do something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in that last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylott really going to use those enormous shears for? Thick hat? Obvious beard? golden lock.
Yes.
Yeah, I think she is the ballerina, but in disguise. You smug. You're like too smug, Ryunosuke. Like, take it down a few notches, my guy. You were on the verge of using the shears to get away the golden locks you sport. Indeed. You have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all. You're a woman. And judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth. Oh no. If only I had managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea that Old Man was really a young woman in disguise, did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise. Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room, deducing the facts with Mr. Shons. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. You were having like the most smug smile I've ever seen in an Ace Attorney game ever. This is a strictly business. Yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on this next part of Mr. Shom's deduction, shall we? The evidence that he's picked out doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's true, given that Mr. Raylot is actually a woman. Exactly. He, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction now. What surprises me now is that she had to put on that coat, right? So she put on that coat, which obviously hid her long hair, and yet she just went and pushed that hair out on her own. Maybe she just pushed it out right now to cut it, and then we just barge in. Maybe it's just coincidence, but yeah, a bit weird. Yes. Let us switch the evidence for something else. Something that fits the facts as we now understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about a young woman in a situation like that recently. Alright, I will do my best. Yeah, it has to be the ballerina.
Yes.
The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. He's just imitating his poses. Come on, Ryunosuke. That's right, you've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Nova Beach Ballet disappeared from Shanghai. It would appear we're finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Nova Beach Ballet's ballet's prima ballerina. Miss Nikolina Pavlova. Oof. You better watch out with those shears. You're right. My real name is Nina. I mean, Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. Topic 1. Old man's identity, a ballerina on the run. Topic 2. Wrongdoing. Kidnapping a young ballerina. Yeah, this doesn't really make sense now. Now, as for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime? Over there. Oh yes, Miss Pablo. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Ah. And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. It has to be either here or maybe somewhere. Oh, there's like a box underneath. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. This woman is a ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes. So clearly she can't be inside that traveling case as well. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? I can see I'm going to have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. Oh. Yeah, the tiara was missing as well.
Yes!
The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. Huh. I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers in the Nova Beach Ballet, is it not? Indeed, it would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Theft. Oh no. Yes, you left your ballet troupe, unlawfully taking their precious tiara with you. Ah. I have no one, no family, no friends. I am all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an earl of Prussia. It belongs to me. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. She must have been extremely lonely. Oh, alright. I will tell you everything. There is no point in hiding it now. Come, let us not be hasty. What? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there is no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Except for the tiara, the golden logs. I mean, we can just keep going on, Sholmes. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case, even before I have ever laid eyes on them. Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless scoop d'oil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the box on the shelf. Completely changed tack with his deduction now. I think Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Maybe, but why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into all this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Oh, do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem like that the reason why this young woman doesn't want to open her case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true, but still, Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I noticed it myself. And there must be another reason why she won't open her case. And it must be somewhere in the same area, if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. I agree, that's the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case will be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase. I mean, clearly, he brought a pet or something aboard.
Yes!
Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. Aye. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova. Inside your traveling case. Is the last item listed as forbidden in the vessel rules of passage. A pet. They are so smacked together, it's insane. Conclusion. Possession of a prohibited animal. Deduction complete. Elementary. So clearly, you aren't who you said you were. Oh, I am not Grimes by Roylott. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company. Ballet? I think it's ballet in French, but I'm just going to say ballet from now on one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. I cannot talk. Sorry about that. Later the same night, you stole aboard this vessel, which couldn't have been easy. The Buria is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Should she really have snuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman. And you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to live well alone. So, if it was just you about to cut off your own hair, was it that loud the scream we heard out from outside the cabin? That veritable tinkling of a bell? Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disgust myself, so no one will recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man? I see. I put on the Thor hat and fake beard? Then, just before you came in here, I saw in newspaper. Right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was too frightened. Couldn't stop from screaming. I knew that if I didn't change my appearances completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut all my hair as fastly as possible. I picked up the scissors in my hand and... At that precise moment, We walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that, from time to time. Those two even talking about the same thing. There's just one more thing I would like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? I just realized that her surname is Pavlov, but with an A. If she's carrying a pigeon or a dog in there, I swear to God. You were right. It is my dear friend inside. My only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If Captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew. Your secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return, you must tell us, in as much detail as you can master, about the events of last night. Yes, alright. I will tell you. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, wasn't it something Mr. Storm's great deduction? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what, but at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, yes? What? Observe your wrists. My... Ah! Your hands are cuffed again. What? But how? True to my word, I have restored your shackles. When? And why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say, it can't be helped at the moment. Can't it? Really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlova has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled band that Kazuma-sama wrote about in his diary really was. What happened last night? Did you know that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one last night? One of the crewmen told me this morning when I was eating breakfast. The man who died. He was a friend of mine. Oh. That's why we're trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you heard a strange noise, for example. Perhaps people talking? Perhaps the ship was absorbed in a wild tempest. Perhaps its steam engine exploded. Dear God, Holmes, calm down. Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that had happened. Miss Pavlova, is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I had done with and whether they would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. Oh, I see. You've run away from your ballet company, haven't you? The Nova Beach Ballet? Yes. I am traveling to Great Britain, and from there, I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life. You wish to forget? A challenging proposition. When you have that striking tiara as a reminder. But the tiara is mine. I need it to live. I have no money of my own. The Nova Beach Ballet gives us only a little food and water. We must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, it would have killed me. So you ran away to protect yourself? Yes, and the crew of the ship, they have all been kind to me. They let me come on board, and they said I could hide in this cabin. If that is indeed the truth, Miss Pavlova, it creates a most intriguing conundrum. Yes, it does. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Me? Oh, well, yes, of course. I think we should hear Miss Pablo's explanation. What conundrum, I'm not sure, but... Miss Pablo, allow me to pose you a riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday that you absconded from the ballet. Now, that being the case, it must have been last night that you boarded this vessel. However, the SS Buria stopped by no port last night. Ah, that's it! Of course! So how is it, pray, that you come to be aboard? Maybe by... a hydroplane? Or something like that? Well, didn't exist yet, just ignore that. Now that I think about it, the crewman outside the cabin acted very strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked him about when the occupant of this cabin came aboard. That is not your business. Yes, you're right. He did seem to be hiding something. An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the states. Sorry, what was that? This is how the Russians newspaper described one of my performances. And that is how I came here too. I descended from the heavens, because I am an angel. Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description is very vivid. Mr. Sholmes once said, I never can resist a touch of the dramatic. It seems Miss Pavlova is the same. A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Words once said about myself. A quote from a wonderfully extravagant advertisement for The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, in fact. I almost said Sherlock Holmes. Yes, Mr. Showy. Anyway, it doesn't seem like Miss Pavlova is going to tell us what really happened. So the friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, is that right? I don't think animals are allowed on board, according to the rules of passage. Oh please, don't tell. Don't tell any of the crew. If they found my precious... Then the burly Russians would bestir themselves in unison to throw you and your case overboard, no doubt. Jesus Christ, Sholmes, calm down. Ah, so reassuring, Mr. Sholmes. But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? It is, isn't it? Maybe an adorable little rabbit? Ha! You credit Russia along with small rabbits, do you? Oh, don't they have small rabbits there then? You may well ask. I have no idea. You two are miserable bunglers when it comes to understanding the nature of young Valerina's friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken. Really? Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call, daily fresh eggs, and when adversity strikes, it could satisfy the needs of sustenance. So you would eat your friends. Ah, remember that. Well, it would appear this friend's identity is a closely guarded secret, not to be revealed. He obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I should like to show her, I think. Maybe she might be able to shed some light on it. Miss Paula, would you take a look at this? I don't know. I don't know anything. Mr. Naruhodo, you're frightening the poor girl. Oh, sorry, I wasn't trying to. Maybe it's this? This is the diary of my friend who passed away. His diary? Yes, and he wrote in it last night before he died. Something a little unusual. It reads, 1:23 AM. I can hear a faint whistling sound. And then a few minutes later, 1:35 AM. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? I don't understand. It's strange, isn't it? But the ventilator he mentions joins to this cabin, you see. It has to be like some kind of bird that did the whistling sound. It's up there on the wall. In other words, this cabin and the victim's cabin are connected together. Oh! Miss Pavlova? Has something occurred to you? Does this speckled band the victim mentioned mean something to you? Or the whistling sound, perhaps? No, I don't know anything. Oh. Excuse me, Mr. Roylott. Yes, what? Wow, she's fast. Captain would like to speak with you. You must come to Captain's quarters at once. Please. Alright, I will come now. What? You must leave, now. Oh no, it's fine. Don't mind us. Yes, please don't worry yourself, Mr. Roylott. Get out. The passenger said out, or do you want me to throw you out? Ugh, it looks like we'll have to leave investigating this cabin until later. What a pity. And so, we lost our chance. Having still not managed to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin, we were unceremoniously chased out. That is to say, we were quite literally picked up and thrown into the passageway outside. To be continued. Yeah, we're going to save. I need to get myself some more water. Give me just a second. Ninth of January. SS Burial. First class cabin passageway. I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. I wish we'd managed to find some clue as to what that speckled band might be. We didn't manage to investigate at all. Hey, Blue Parrot, welcome in. And I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door. So, te voy a explicar ahora mismo rápidamente lo que ha pasado. El señor de la cabina, el señor Mr. Roylott, no era Mr. Roylott. Era la bailarina que estaba disfrazada. Y llevaba una especie de mascota dentro de su maleta. Entonces, creo que lo que pasa es que el silbido que se escuchó en la noche anterior era la mascota, que debía ser algún pájaro o algo. Espero que sea una paloma, porque la señorita es apellida Pavlova. Apellida Pavlov, como el señor de la psicología. Entonces, si es una paloma, me haría mucha gracia. Increíble, es como la cosa del rol que inventaste para la casa. ¿Cómo? Perdona, no te sigo. ¿Qué pasa con el rol? Ah, lo de que estaba disfrazado como otra persona. ¿Te refieres a eso? Ah, that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door. Ah, vale, vale, entiendo. It's clearly glaring at us, as is to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute. Ah, también hemos hecho deducciones con Solms. Y joder, era la cosa más smug y gay que he visto en mi vida en esta serie. No es de coña. Estaban bailando los dos mientras hacían deducciones. What is it? Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go? Oh yes, he's completely disappeared. Also, voy a lurkear, me he apuntado a un cursito chiquito de verano y voy a estar con eso. Ah, pues perfecto. Oye, no te preocupes. Sí, los lurkes son de lo mejor, en verdad. Ay. También hay un comando de lurk, pero tampoco hace mucho. Antes un mensajito gracioso por si lo quieres poner es exclamación, lurk, todo junto y ya está. Homosexualidad, sí, homosexualidad rampante, está por todos lados. Malditos homosexuales. Ay. Ahí está. See you around Space Cowboy. Ya me había olvidado de que escribí eso. Me olvido de muchas cosas, en verdad. No es normal. When did he do that? Ah, sí. Había una jugada en la que directamente Shrooms nos ha quitado las esposas. Literalmente las ha quitado sin que nos diéramos cuenta y las ha vuelto a poner sin que nos diéramos cuenta otra vez. Ha sido increíble. Pero bueno, que te vaya bien con el cursito y nada, ya nos iremos viendo. He has slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring that this was securely back on my wrists. I mean, if that guy isn't there anymore, maybe we can leave? That door leads to the second class area. It's locked. I can't open it. No, well, that stands to reason. No one wants to let the murderer escape. Gosh, she gave me a very stern look when she said that. That book on top of the table is... Yeah, I think we already read this. Yeah, we already read this last time. I really wish we had had a chance to look around in Miss Pavlova's cabin. What? Why you look like that? You want something? Hmm? Maybe you want me to throw you out again? Hmm? No, definitely not that. Next time I had to throw you out, I saw you where lobsters spend winter. Understand? Understand? Maybe I should steer clear of him until he has forgotten my face. I don't think he will ever forget your face, Naruhodo-san. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that is our cabin. Not our cabin. It's Kazuma-sama's. Sorry? Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? It's as small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. Anyway, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga has managed to uncover any clues. Yes, we should probably find him and ask. Oh. I think Hosonaga just left us. It looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes, on that subject, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga is unscathed. What do you mean, unscathed? Surely you haven't forgotten, have you, Naruhodo-san? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he would lay his life on the line for you. Oh, yeah. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know. Everything seems to be the same. What about you? You! Where did you go? Oh, sorry, I just went to the next door. Why? Who gave you permission for this? Well, Shiman Hosonaga did. That new Japanese, was it? Later, I will roll him into ball and throw him in cold room. He's gone back to Gardener. I hope Inspector Hosonaga doesn't find himself in too much trouble on our account. He's really gone out of his way to help us, hasn't he? When we get back to Japan, we'll have to take him for a steak at La Carnival. That could be a very long time from now, Naruhodo-san. Dear God, what happened to you? Ah, you're back. Inspector! What happened to you? Your face is... Please, don't worry about it. They're just scratches. Made by a bear, maybe. I told the captain that I have given you permission to investigate. He told me he would pummel me with his fist and then toss me overboard. What? But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard. So it was nothing, really. It looks like he wasn't joking when he said he would lay his life on the line if he had to. Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know a little about the neighboring cabin. Yes, so I understand. Oh! I bumped into a man claiming to be a great detective a little while ago. I think his name was something like Sherlock Holmes. I don't think he was German though. Ah, that explains it. Shall we compare notes then? We can tell you what we have found out. Yes, let's do it. The cabin next door. What? Nikolina Pavlova? She's in the cabin next door? Oh, do you know who she is? Please, what self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know that graceful angel? Oops, I think I upset him there. Well, then tell us the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case at least. Oh? How? Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they? I mean, Lucifer was an angel originally, so... Oops, now I've definitely upset him. Inspector, has your investigation in here proved fruitful? If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure that the scene isn't disturbed, ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping watch here, trying not to take my eyes off the job. Oh, I see. Ah, there's one thing. I do have a small new piece of new information for you. Oh, what? Yes, do tell us, Inspector. Please. New information. What is this new information you have, Inspector? It's this. The Burgess medical officer has finished his examination of the body. I managed to obtain the report. Oh, Kazuma's post-mortem report? Kazuma-sama. So, what was the cause of death? Damage to the cervical vertebrae is what's written in the report. His neck was broken? Yes, it would seem so. I mean, I'm no doctor, I'm no medical expert, but I think when your neck is broken, you can't write anything on the floor. There were no obvious wounds or other signs of injury. So at first, I think they were considering poison. But it turns out that they found no trace of poison in his system at all. Well, what weapon was used then? Nothing has been found as yet, but the fact that there are no signs of a wound suggests it may have been a blunt object, something that wouldn't leave a mark. Oh, I see. All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. It is a possibility, and no obvious wound would be left. Or Kazuma. I have a second copy of the report. If it might be useful, you're welcome to have it. Really? Are you sure? Yes, it's fine. I trust you. After all, if I didn't trust you, I would never have agreed to you leaving this cabin in the first place, would I? Ah. Oh, Susato is now feeling bad that she doesn't trust us, but like, you don't have to feel bad because it's completely understandable. Like, we were the only ones in the room when it happened. Well, when we were the only ones when the corpse was discovered. A report from the SS Burias medical officer giving the cause of death as a cervical spine injury. There were no traces of external injury or poison. The Great Detective. Oh, Mr. Solms was here, was he? Yes. He seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crept about on the floor investigating. But then he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored. Did he say anything at all? Actually, now that you mention it, yes. Just one thing, but he practically shouted it. It's shoe polish! Was all he said. Shoe polish? Wonder what he meant. It was when he was over there. By the piece of broken glass, do you see? Ah, perhaps he was talking about this brick color mark, do you think? Ah, yes, that must be it. But how could Mr. Solms know that it's shoe polish? That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea. What is it that Susato-san? Well, Kazuma-sama was wearing leather shoes with a very dark tan hue. Dark tan? A sort of dark brownish red, then. Yes, a little like the color of red wine, but darker. I even repaired them for him. Oh, does this mean this mark was made by the polish on Kazuma's shoes as they were scuffed on the floor? Mark on the floor. A piece of a small glass object and what looks like a scuff mark, made by Kazuma's shoes, were found by the victim's body. That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewmen's eyes are boring into the back of my head. Yes, that may be for the best. Thank you. Poor Inspector, you look exhausted. Oh, no. Well, I feel terrible that I failed to protect Asogi-san. It was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You were his friends. The truth is, I seem to have had a heavy head ever since I woke this morning. A heavy head? That's interesting. My head's still throbbing too. This is where Kazuma spent his final moments, writing his diary. 1:23 AM. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 AM. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Looking at his writing here on this page, it's almost impossible to believe that he's gone. Kazuma-sama left us a valuable clue in these words, I'm sure of it. We have to solve this mystery, Naruhodo-san. Yeah, we will. All the books provided for passengers occupying this cabin neatly arranged on the shelf. They were all over the place when we first looked around, if you remember. Oh, yes. And you tidied them up, didn't you? You have to look after the ship's property. Unruly behavior in the cabins leads to damage. But it really wasn't me who knocked them over. Well, anyway, I feel much better now that they are neatly lined up. I can't relax when things are untidy. These are the rules. Yeah, we already read them. Yeah, they're talking about the pigeon, bird, whatever. I'm almost certain that whatever it is, it's inside the traveling case in her cabin. Friend. There's more to this than it seems, I think. It really is such a beautiful color, this glass. It looks like whatever it has has broken clean in two. But the other half is nowhere to be seen. And then there's this brick color mark, which is shoe polish, according to that great detective you seem to know all about. Hey, sorry about that. I suppose it must be from Kazuma-sama's shoes. Maybe, but what I would like to know is, how can a detective be so sure that it's shoe polish and not something else? Because he's a great detective, of course. That's hardly a reason, is it? So it's clear that these letters were written with the ink that was somehow spilled on the floor. And they spelled the Russian word for wardrobe. It does seem to be an ambiguous pointer to you, Naruhodo-san, as you were sleeping in there. But to be truly unambiguous, it should have just spelled out my name, don't you think? Well, either way, one fact remains. It's hard to imagine that Kazuma-sama would have written his last word, or word, in Russian. Which begs the question of who did write it then. Yeah, I'm like very sure that the food has some kind of drug that made us go to sleep. Ah, look, Naruhodo-san. Seaman Stroganoff has gone. Strong enough? The burly Russian sailor who was always crossing his arms and glaring at us. All these Russian names are impossible to remember. Hey, Libel! Welcome in, bienvenido. Tra-la-la. Did you hear that? It sounded like someone singing. La-la-li-la-li-la. La-la-la-la-la. I did it the great detective way. This caroling. I know that lark-like voice. Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us. Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's get inside Miss Pavlova's cabin while we can and investigate. Definitely. Before that stringy note crewman comes back. It's Stroganoff, not stringy note. Oh. Ah, se lo llevaron. Miss Pavlova isn't back yet. Susato-san. Oh, where has he gone? Hey, what are you doing? Those are her private things. There's not a moment to waste, Naruhodo-san. We must investigate as quickly as we can. I suppose you're right. For Kazuma's sake. She really just went to her wardrobe. Not just for Kazuma-sama. What do you mean? I don't know how to say this in Spanish, but... Habla español. Venga, pues 5 minutos hablar español. ¿Va a beber agua antes? Estimado Zark. Hola, estimado Level. ¿A qué te refieres? No puede ser... no debe de quedar mucho hasta que lleguemos al puerto, en Hong Kong. Yo... No quiero verte... En esas esposas cuando lleguemos allí. ¿De verdad? Debemos resolver este caso, Naruhodo-san. Por nuestra cuenta, si hace falta. Sí, lo haremos. Muy bien. Primero de todo. He investigado un montón, pero no encuentro nada fuera de lugar. A ver, hay una bolsa enorme aquí. Pero vale, ok. Me da un poco de toque al ver, al ver bot en el chat. Lo podría manearlos. ¿A qué bot? ¿Dices el Nightbot? Naruhodo-san, ¿estás ahí? Ah, perdón, estoy aquí mismo, sí. ¿Por qué? Oh, Dios. Oh, bien. Pensé que te habías metido dentro del armario mientras me estaba mirando. No hay ningún lugar como el hogar. Créeme. No tengo ninguna obsesión extraña de saltar dentro de cualquier armario que vea. Sé que es raro de escuchar esto. Mi español está mal hoy también. Laibel, ¿que estás bien? ¿Tienes algo que decirme? Bueno, de todas maneras, no estoy seguro de que alguien pudiera entrar en este. Está lleno de trajes hermosos. Como que son todo vestimenta de baile. Bueno, de actuación también. Estaba esperando encontrar al amigo de Miss Pablo escondiéndose por aquí, pero no ha habido suerte. Como costumbre veo las personas que están en el chat y en el listado hay varias cuentas que son bots. ¡Ah! ¿Qué dices? ¿Cuántos bots hay aquí? Un momento. Estos son muchos bots, ¿verdad? Sí, me da un poco de miedo. Me está dando un poco de mal rollo, la verdad. A ver, no son tantos. Tipo, por ejemplo... iba a decir que hay un bot llamado Commander Root, pero no está hoy por algún motivo. Ese bot está hecho para vigilar cosas de Twitch, tipo que te ayuda ese bot, pero los otros no los conozco de nada. Así que este ventilador se conecta con la cabina de Kazuma en la otra puerta. Sí, aunque cualquier... ¿Qué tonto debe ser el que construyó esta nave para conectar un ventilador a otra habitación? Ah, quizás es para que así sea un escape de gas en la siguiente, en la otra habitación. El ocupante de esta habitación se daría cuenta y alertaría la alarma. O los ocupantes de ambas cabinas morirían de envenenamiento por gas. Sí. Ya los conoces, ya los has baneado a otros lugares. Dios santo bendito. Vale, pues si me dices cuáles son los malos, los voy baneando ahora mismo. No me cuesta nada. Ok, hago la lista. Vale, muchas gracias. Oh, los ocupantes de... ¿Te la dejo por Discord o por aquí? No, es que por aquí quizás no te deja. Eso mándamela por Discord y voy copiando pegando después. Esa es una posibilidad. En fin, la noche anterior, Kazuma escribió que vio como una especie de cinta decorativa o algo saliendo de su ventilador. Aquí hay uno de esos al lado de la cama en la cabina de Kazuma también. Sí, es una... Es un cordón de campana. No puedo resistirme. Tiling, tiling. Apenas ha dudado. Y le he dado un buen tirón además. Okay, and we're back to English. No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come. We don't want them to. We're trying to investigate in secret. All the books have doubled over together. Look, every single one of them. Do you think that's a god of the sea, perhaps? It's doubled too, though. It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door, in Kazuma's cabin. Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase? I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from her ballet company? Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage. Not everything bad that happens on this ship is because of me, you know. Well, anyway, I will set them all straight again in here too. I don't like seeing things in disarray. Oh my! Miss Pavlova's case is open. It's completely empty inside. But according to the detective's great deduction, she was hiding her special friend in there. Yes, a friend that she had to keep secret. Because you're not allowed to bring animals aboard the SS Buria. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there. And more to the point, where is it now? I wonder what this little saucer is doing on the floor. Yes, it does look like it's been dropped. More like it was put there deliberately. Ah, do you think there could be a leak in the roof just above here? What? A leak? Is this ship quite safe? I'm sure that even if there's a little leak in the roof, it doesn't mean the whole ship is going to sink. No, you're right. Of course you're right. She's really trying to persuade herself, isn't she? Yeah, this is most likely a plate of water for the pet. It would seem this teapot is empty. So the natural conclusion is that the Russians are a very thirsty people. Or because Miss Pavlova only came into this cabin last night, he hasn't had the chance to make any tea yet? I mean, it could be either. It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I would lay 1,000 to 1 on it. You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruhodo-san? There are just a few books on the desk, nothing else by the looks of it. Well, Miss Pavlova... I want to say Pavlov, like by instinct. Saying Pavlova doesn't sound right. Miss Pavlova only ran away from the ballet last night. She's hardly occupied with this cabin for any time at all. That is true. I wonder what kind of books she likes to read. Let me see. Yes, I see. It would seem that Miss Pavlova enjoys reading... books written in Russian. Thanks. I think I probably already knew that. It's rude to ask too much of people, Naruhodo-san. Kindly remember that. I suppose every cabin has a waste paper basket. Shall we have a little look and see what's been thrown away? Naruhodo-san! It's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know. Ugh, those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. However... ¿Lo dejé por Discord? Vale, un momento. Esta second chat I'm going to be banning some bots real quick. Because apparently, bots decide to exist now. Okay, that's 1. That's 2. That's 3. Sí, no hacen nada, pero no me fío de que luego Twitch venga y me quite la cuenta por tener bots viendo de viewers o lo que sea, ¿sabes? Sí, si haces una rey irán a otro canal también. And the last one. Okay, I think that should be it. Yeah, it's an endless cycle. However, these are special circumstances, I think. Exactly, we have no choice. There's hardly anything in here at all. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. Ah, yes, they're displaying this cabin too, look. The SS Buria's Rules of Passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Bueno, Lever, muchas gracias, de verdad. Se agradece un montón. Porque, claro, yo he pensado, esos son bots de esos del Commander Root o similares, pero yo no tenía ni idea. Muchas gracias. I suppose Miss Pavlova realized that she needed to keep the contents of her case a secret after she read this. Her special friend, I mean. I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. It's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine. I just hope Siemens Stroganoff doesn't find it and throw it overboard. Oh, yes, so do I. I mean, that's everything, right? This cabin door has the same simple sort of bolted latch that our cabin door has. If the bolt's drawn across, there's no way anybody could enter the cabin from outside. Yes, it's not particularly heavy. It's not a particularly heavy-duty bolt, is it? But still, it won't slide across of its own accord, would it? No, and the door is made of metal, so there is no chance of trickery using magnets to unbolt it from the other side. And it seals up perfectly too, to stop any seawater coming in. So you couldn't use the method you told me of passing a thread through a crack around the closed door either. Seem to know a lot of tricks for opening doors. I'm starting to see why they suspect me. I mean, that's literally everything, right? Yeah, I think that is everything. Miss Pavlova's cabin. This could be our chance. The world is... Yeah, but I think we already explored it. Sir? Oh, it's Mr. Sholmes, look. Wow, you never know when he's going to turn up next, do you? He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself. La la la, li da da, li da da. I did it the great detective way. He's still singing. Do you think he hasn't noticed us? Or he's simply in extremely high spirits? Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when the jar bit off more than it could chew. I think I've heard this song. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I... What is this song? I think I know this song. I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew, but through it all, None was hope. I ate it up and spit it out. It's my way. It's my way from Frank Sinatra. And through it all, when there was doubt, it's lucky her luck was about. Excuse me. I solved it all, and I stood tall. I did it the great detective way. Mr. Sholmes! Ah! What is it? You want to fight? Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing. I was just about to reach the climax finish. Sorry, I thought you were never going to stop, so I figured now is as good time as any. I very nearly dropped you to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. Alright, I get the picture. Now could you put those fists away? Te destroza, eh. Maldita sea el Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you. Ah, yes, that. I was immersed in study of the ship's log, as penned by the stockily built crewman who's usually on guard here. Oh yes, the ship's log. And did you find anything useful from it? Well, after 2 AM this morning, the majority of the entries are blank. Which means that there was nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so... You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it. Sorry? Your logic, my boy, is inverted. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Observe the other pages, and all shall become clear. It would seem the same crewman often stands sentry in this first-class passageway. And he has an almost religious practice of recording nothing to report every half hour. Oh, he writes that in every 30 minutes? Nothing to report? Precisely. Put simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that. And yet, ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report. Do you mean? Yes, there were circumstances afoot last night, which led to the seaman being absent from his post. What kind of circumstances? What happened? That remains a mystery for now, but we can be sure something significant took place. Maybe he was fed the same food that we and Hosonaga ate, and that I think they had some kind of sleeping drug, and he just fell asleep. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribing nothing to report in the log. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. You must log the ship's log in your mental log file. The ship's log has been entered into the core record. Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective. Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is, I see. What makes Sean's brilliance. Oh, ouch. What is it? Are you hurt? Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning for some reason. Nothing more. Bro, was everyone in the ship drugged last night? Well, my friends, until our next encounter. And there he goes, like a kiss on the wind. He's still singing to himself. I can hear it as he wanders off down the passageway. Is something wrong, Susato-san? You seem lost in thought. It's just... well, I feel the same. Sorry? Ever since I woke this morning, I've had something of a headache. Sort of continuous throbbing. Oh, you too? Yeah, Hosonawa also had a... He also had a throwing head, so... Ah! What's that? Shut down the engines immediately. Vessel sighted at a quarter-mile for. Full stop. Hard to starboard. All hands. Brakes for impact. What the? I think we're about to crash into another ship. What? I can't stand. Susato-san, hold on to me. Ah! And then they died. The end. Susato-san, are you alright? Are you injured at all? I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruhodo-san. It looks like we avoided a collision. I think... Yes, the ship has come to a stop. Oh my goodness, what about you, Naruhodo-san? Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosonaga. Is that you in there, Naruhodo-san? Unbolt the door, quickly! What? The bolt? That's how the door closes on its own. That is the trick of the closed room. Look at that. The door is bolted. Did you do that, Susato-san? No, I didn't touch it. Well, that's strange. How did... And look at all the books. They're just like they were before again. Naruhodo-san, are you going to open the door and let the inspector in? I'd better tidy this place up first. Our violent emergency stop had solved one mystery at least, in a very vivid way. But I knew that what awaited us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around, tidying up in the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my head. To be continued. Let's save. I think we're finally going to begin a trial. 9th of January. S.S. Buria. Miss Pavlova's cabin. Oh, well, I guess not. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Susato-san took a deep breath, then gently slid back the bolt. Oof. You! What are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters? Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine, thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought that he shot a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is chaos, passengers are screaming, crew are running everywhere. This first class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. So someone triggered the alarm? Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? Ah! You wicked intruder! Left all in black! You are the devil! I'm sorry, me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is a first. You opened my traveling case! How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector! Yes? Arrest this man. I know he did it. He's a criminal. Is it not enough that he has killed a man? Da! And he's stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe? Ugh. Wait, so it was a chicken? Take him away. He's a trespasser as well as everything else. Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right. You are devil. It doesn't look good, does it? Wait a second, I'm just going to... I think that sounds a bit better. There is cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police. Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hasanaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. Okay, let's see. This guy really just likes to appear out of nowhere. What the? What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes? Naturally, I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no. Well, why were you hanging from that hook before then? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of the 20,000 rubles, naturally. I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall, full of brag and bounce. I never know whether to take this man seriously or not. Ah, you again. The great detective. Ah, Inspector. I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time. What is the report? Speak! An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yes. The case of the curious murder that took place last night, here on this vessel, the steamship Burial, has been solved. By me, naturally. What? Really? Yes. I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanation exists. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. In great detail. Aha, you have solved it. Even Hedgehog understands this case. Even Sonic understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing a student boy this morning, when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is this stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove. I didn't do it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because, as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories. The locked room, that is the point. The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You are all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all. What? Oh yes, there's another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin, despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why? It gapes open mouth at you even as we speak. The ventilator, man. The ventilator? You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole. That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You are suggesting that the culprit entered and let the victims come in through that tiny opening. It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Mr. Solms, you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 AM. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 AM. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Grill? Grill. Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to the particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Solms? What are you doing? I'm going to punch you, Mr. Naruhodo-san. There's a distinct element of danger, but fear not. I am ready. What I am about to expose for you all to see will suck you to your corpse. Behold! What the? Oh. If anyone has like a snake phobia, please look away. Allow me to introduce you all to the band, the speckled band. A snake? Undoubtedly. Mr. Solms, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more strippy, wouldn't you say? Hmm? Yes, you're right. I think in this case you would have to call it the striped band, wouldn't you? You both see and observe, with distinction. However, do you not think that is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall? Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap? How exactly? I think perhaps it is time to explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one. Last night, your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. Ah. And number two. That same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. He's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Solms must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend? Killed Mr. Asogi? It looks like he can speak with that snake coiled around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Intruder's identity. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. Is death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So, we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected. Another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the raging serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, these specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we give then, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? Oh, she's hiding something. No, don't look at me. It has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you're trying, but failing to conceal, can only be the snake's sloughed skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, its most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No? I don't know what you're talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent slyly descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life, as he speckled the bell. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake, whose markings change each time it lost its skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Conclusion: a beloved speckled snake. Topic number 2. How Mr. Asogi died. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as a fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be... Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost but not quite imperceptible puncture wound left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snakebite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There is no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that troubling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend. To train? Indeed, you would put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you would summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, but you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared to not to have been dispatched, you would release the snake once more. Do you know the snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Having slithered through the ventilator, we already read this. The creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible. Conclusion: death by a venomous snake. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible! You have solved the mystery! Amazing! Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Sherlock Holmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Holmes? But of course, what's on your mind? It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madame. And reptiles, don't drink milk. Ah. It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as reward. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other trick to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah. Yes, so I'm not sure if it would really be possible to signal to a snake by whistling. But madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Hold up, chat, I'm getting myself some more water. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears? These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. I mean, they can kill you with one bite, so... Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Holmes. There is one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in this cabin. Then it should try harder. Please, don't be angry with me, Mr. Holmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine that the snake could have had a part in this. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean... Yes, we need to modify Mr. Son's latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down onto your wrists again. What? You've done it again! Your handcuffs are gone. Oh, where did they go? I fear not. I shall see to that they're restored after work is done. I really wish you would leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Holmes. Topic 1. Intruder's identity. Miss Pablo, moments ago you can... I'm not going to do the voices for this, I'm just going to... His death has nothing to do with me. This is okay. You cannot deceive yourself. Your aching heart smarts with pain. She does have a pain expression on her face. Yes, that is true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you are not sure Mr. Holmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Would there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment and really look very closely at Miss Pavlova. Aching heart, right ear. It has to be the wrist, right? Oh, claw scratch.
Yes!
Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? Ah. When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of the intruder? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you were dead. Maybe it was a cat. Another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the reason serpent we see before us. Oh, maybe what Kazuma-san saw was the tail of the cat, and the cat is a bit speckled? Was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except... snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? Where's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer. Oh.
Yes!
Photograph frame. You were looking over at this frame photography print, weren't you, Miss Pavlova? But let's not be distracted by the print itself. Oh no. It's the frame that is your friend, isn't it? Ryanosuke, there is a cat in the photo. That deduction was wanting in every way. Yes, I was wanting you to hear it. I'm quite proud of it. I find myself wanting never to have heard it. I'm quite pained by it, in fact. Oh, sorry. I'll try again. I mean, it's... Yeah, but like, she looked down. can I even... Teapot, seaman, riding serpent. But it has to be like the photo because it shows like the cat, right? It has to be like there's like maybe the teapot. I mean, human Stronov, riding serpent. Maybe her friend is really strong enough. There's no doubt, is there? She looked in this direction. Straight at Seaman Stroganoff. Well, they do seem to be friends of sorts. But I can't imagine how he could possibly fit through that ventilator. Don't forget that I managed to fit inside Kasuma's trunk when we first boarded this ship. I would ask that what that proves, but I think an equivocal little smile would be more effective. I have a feeling. There was this teapot that Miss Pavlova's eyes flickered over to before. You think this is the friends she's been talking about? Well, we're all different, aren't we? Oh wait, we can examine and then we can present. So we have to... This is what happened last time with the coin. We have to examine and then we have to present the... I mean... Look, the photograph in this frame. Not something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. Like, I could have just presented the photo and then they could have let me point it out. But no, we had to first inspect and then... She is exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that is true. But personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we'd better take a closer look at this.
Yes!
It's literally the same, like... Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Ah. Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations of the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. Yeah, because it's completely pitch black. But maybe it's because of the photo, because it's in black and white. What explanation can we give then? Can we then give prey? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? Oh, maybe he was wearing like a little suit or something? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now. Even behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing to conceal, can only be the snake's sloth skin. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she had just left it in her pocket, no one would have ever known. Oh yes, plays like that are Mr. Som's specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty. Or maybe making me believe that was applied too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that that's the skin of a snake. In which case... Yes, what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? Oh, it's like a little toy. Well, it is speckled and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy. A long piece of cloth of some sort. And that looks like a handle at one end. I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently. Why is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. Ah, that sounds positively adorable. Cat's toy. Oh wait, I misclicked. Sorry.
Yes!
Yes, the thing you're trying, but failing to conceal, is a cat's toy. Precisely, and the true nature of the now infamous speckled band. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You whipped it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. Yeah. I don't know how to make those kinds of Kia sounds. Like, is she supposed to be screaming? Is she supposed to be flinching? A truly troublesome feline, young Dark is proven to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. The photograph was of Miss Pavlova, and Darka has been entered into the courtroom. It was that after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand, and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, he had disappeared to the ventilator. Darka, she is so naughty. Intruder's identity. A beloved kitten. Topic number 2. How Mr. Asogi died. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. What Mr. Son says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body. That's right. But Mr. Son seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Ah, yes, I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury's out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as a fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to frame it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something. Or someone. Yes, that is a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found though. Presumably Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose it's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. Could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? I want to check something first, hold up. Ah, the bell. Look, this is the bell from the ground. Okay. So, wait, I have to present something from here. I guess this?
Yes!
Yes! An examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of fact. Beeswax, tallow and dye were my results. And the undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Asogi's laced leather boots. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped. Please, no. And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, brought his neck against an immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life. No! I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal this incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right. With the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that troubling case. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But... And if this part of Mr. Shom's deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that will prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction as she just casts her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. So... This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first class cabins have them. But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably, there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you. I mean, it has to be that, right?
Yes!
That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Ah. Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no. So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, could be found in a waste paper basket in your cabin? You are well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know. In that harsh Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be this photo right here. If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from darkest color, the very glass bell in question. Hi. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Conclusion: death by tripping over a cat. Deduction complete. Elementary. This is so fun because it's like the trials, but in the investigation segments, which is something that people really didn't. Well, people. It's like the one aspect of Ace Attorney that people don't really like, the investigations part. Because there isn't really anything besides walking around, talking with people, examining, presenting something eventually to make some new dialogue pop up. But now they seem to have like kind of fused that with Sean's here, which is very nice. Now, why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka. So I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast. Disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it. Yes. I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure, if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it safe to try to lure the kitten back again? By dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin. Darka always loved this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. But the faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova, trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, though there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she calmed down. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was. On the appearance of the brown mark on the floor. It seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. This Esburia is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Asoy was already off balance as a result of the ship, lurking when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case. And now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is as insufferable restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least. When I worked this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. Yeah, but then Kazuma still wrote like a message. So maybe he fell, was fine, and then something else got him? I was too scared. Or maybe someone just entered before that, made the text for some reason, and just left, and then the ship veered or something, and that's how the room became closed. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? Oh, you're right. What is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then who is it and where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board this ship? Oh, he's petting it. Oh, I didn't say. Snake is my friend. His name is Pirosko. What? What? That snake belongs to you? He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? What? Animals are not permitted on board. Oh, we are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friend? Without someone who understands? Couldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake? Surely you can appreciate the danger you are putting everyone in. No venom. Pirotko does not have many. He is harmless, very long but very gentle. He's adorable, like Granny. Like Babushka. It's venomless? Yes, now he's hungry, so he's in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile. And you feed him. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Ah, like they say, they milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Pirozko eats mouses. Big, fat, round monkeys. Ah. Oh, so... is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for? Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. Poor Shons. He's like done with everything. It refuses to drink milk. It can't hear a whistle. It can't climb up a bell cord. And it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Pirotko is nothing to do with this incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. Miss Pavlova. I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you are going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. What are you talking about, Miss Mikotova? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Soames. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see, that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There is a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story. I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh! I'm only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Not again. When did you do that? Especially as they are on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were, Mr. Soames? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. He was even my partner. I owed him my freedom, even. My god, these bitches are gay. Good for them. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. We must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. About how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident.
Hold it!
Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. Maybe what Pavlova heard was the sword falling down, or the food falling down, something else falling down, really. A clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. I mean, if he was in the room, then it has to be this.
Yes!
The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There is no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. That script. It's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a lying message in their native language, Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It's a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry? What do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae, resulting in an instant death. Instant death. Oh. Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything. Because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There is something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there, if what Miss Pavlova told us was true. What? So, Susato-san has noticed it too then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there is something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves that this was no accident. In other words, I mean, it has to be this, right? But like... A remnant of something. If it's a remnant, maybe it's the bell? I'm going to save just in case. This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass bell that the kitten had around its neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where is the flaw in that logic? The other half would also be there. Unfortunately, there is a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Ah! Yes. Remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in that waste paper basket. You care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Asogi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Ah! Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Asogi's. You are wasting time. Someone else was there. Duh, of course, we know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. And only other person in cabin was when young student died. It was you.
Yes!
It's true. I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way you could have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor, in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen on the floor, for fear of it becoming evidence that we should show how Mr. Asogi really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all of the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single, small lamp suspended from the ceiling would have barely cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder then, that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Seaman Stroganoff. Nina is woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sail. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on this ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal. Ah, so that's it. You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth. Well, it's almost interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure? You are a great detective. You should know. Look through the eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin. Not Nina, not anyone. Or you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Niet! It's impossible. He's right. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches, so they can open and close them from the outside. Red? Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any mothership. constructed of heavy steel with not a gap inside. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, no, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so... Susato-san! How could you shift it onto me like that? So Simon Stoganov has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind, having been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the outside? One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know what Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, and so should you. Because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So, would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt across from the outside. It has to be.
Yes!
Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that are fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe. Yes, it's what's known as the force of inertia, acting on the objects. There's nothing Susato-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in your book at least. Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. Ah! It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had come into this cabin not long before, and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... Hello, is anyone in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosonaga. Oh yes! When... That's it! When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door. Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Of speed, sorry. Or the force of ineptia. Come on. Are you trying to say that last night, after Misasori was killed, Bling. The SS Buria made another emergency stop? When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelf had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? Then, when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asobi's cabin. Oh my! Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Are you out of your mind? Use the Buria made emergency stop. It does seem a little far-fetched. What could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it is simply not. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? used to trigger the emergency alarm. Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there? Telling you only to press the button in times of emergency. On dark nights where the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Wait, was it Sean who pressed it earlier? Wait, it was you! When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings, and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it did a little earlier today. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. It's in these times where we have to remember the wise words of Hop from Amphibia. Never ever pull a lever, or in this case, never ever push a button. He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with ship? I'll report you to Captain. You're in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learned a valuable lesson. Never ever pull a lever. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider. Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop, or did it not? You are idiots! Buria is a huge ship with many passengers. If we make emergency stop, even in middle of night, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruto? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruto? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? There were no records from 2 AM until early this morning.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, it's your duty to patrol the first class area of the ship. Isn't that right? That is correct. Why? And the ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties? What are you doing with that? That is mine. You rather carelessly left it atop the little makeshift burrow in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later. I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase, "nothing to report," every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log? That is... because nothing happened. But if nothing happened, you would normally write, "nothing to report," wouldn't you? Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 AM, something happened here aboard the SS Burier. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish! If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh? Why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, Surely all of us would have noticed? That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anyone would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of the night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of Rob? Sorry? What do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it. Ah! Oh, yes, I have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right. My head's been throbbing today too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe. And had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. Stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Ah, well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. Maybe when... Oh, okay, so... Maybe she did came on a plane here, but to hide the noise of the plane coming, the crew dragged everyone on board with the meal. So you enjoy some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact. I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all. That's right. He didn't touch it. Is that relevant? My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh! Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No! Really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. A sleeping drug? Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Placing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. And you would just have to add it before serving everything. Exactly. Unless that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, seaman... I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, will be hauled over the coals for aiding and abetting a renegade. Please, no more. I will tell everything. I cannot make promises like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes. So when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help. Everyone together. They threw away everything. Her fame in the ballet, Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. Wait, did they just put like a lump of drug and everyone just chew through it? We cannot make all drug. How do you say, dissolve? Ugh. Talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. It was held by comrade on shore with small fishing boat. Oh, yeah, because planes do not exist. Just yet. While all the passengers on the SS Buria slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals have contained. So if that's what happened, the only person awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who dislike chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlov. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Ah, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins, after which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite, and accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes! The overwhelming majority of passengers would habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway, and so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. You have talked long time and said many things. What is point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor, in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock the door. All told, a busy night. But... I don't know about any of this. I'm just a little girl. You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories. We don't believe. Sailors like me, we only trust what we see with our own eyes. A laudable trait. Of what? I am quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, and yes? Do you hear it? The accusatory cry of guilt on the wind? What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No. You must hear it with your eyes. For observation is the basis of all that action. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come for one final logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth. So, Mr. Naruto, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Soames? With observation, my dear fellow. Just as I said, of these two prevaricators. Observation? If you remember, Mr. Naruto, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Asogi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two was there when it happened. Precisely. You are delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. But we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Kazuma died. Funky arms. Sailor's hat. He has arms like tree trunks, doesn't he? Hairy tree trunks. Yes, he certainly has sailor's arms. He's a born man of the sea. I mean, if I had been awake, I couldn't have done anything about being dragged out of that wardrobe by this man. Naruto-san? You're right. You seem to be lost in thought. Oh, sorry. Blame those hairy tree trunks. You noticed something significant about Seaman Stroganoff's hat? Oh no, sadly not. I was just thinking that if only we had found it in Kazuma's cabin, it would all be so easy. That's true. A hat dropped at the scene would have been very conclusive evidence. Ah, that's a point. I'm sure I saw your university uniform hat at the scene somewhere. That is not a point. At least not one I would like you to make. Oh?
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff. You seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform now. Oh? Ah, yes. I don't know where the dirt comes from. So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain. What are you trying to say? It should appear that the significance of this stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform. And I think what made it is clear. Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruto, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then. The evidence that proves what that stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is?
Yes!
Yes! It's this photograph, and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform. Hold up, chat, I have like a bug right here. Hold up. Ah, there it goes. Ink? A rather unusual color of ink. Purple. Ah! Ah, the penny drops. At last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same color. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means... you must have been present in the cabin, in the moments immediately after the ink was spilled. Alright, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything. Hold up. I arranged everything in that student's cabin to make it look like wardrobe men did it. Then I pressed button to make Buria do the emergency stop, and both cabin doors shut. I did everything so no one would suspect or injure. Beef, please. Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty, patrolling passageway. Then our Angel came to me. He was white like sheet. Beef, please, you must help me. I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw a student boy on floor. What happened here? Please, don't tell anyone. My little one. My little furry friend. Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. The kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asogi's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck, or he fell into the floor? Yes, that is right. So after the incident when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers? Only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? The door was not locked, so she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind. Of what? When you went to Mr. Asogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. When Nina opened door of student's cabin and looked inside, I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova? Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? We discovered the real truth about Kazuma's death at last? Ah, something very nearly slipped my mind. Oh, Mr. Solms? This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck. Therefore, the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to be somewhat unnatural. What do you mean, unnatural? What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well... If Kazuma tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck, which part of this photograph print seems unnatural?
Yes!
This word in Russian clearly wasn't written by Kazuma. So if you're looking for something unnatural, that is the obvious point. Very true. It is certainly peculiar, but it's not what I meant by unnatural, I'm afraid. That particular cross detail was orchestrated by the culprit. I mean to identify another point. Oh, I see. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. In my opinion, if you land as the victim appears to have done, it would be most unnatural. I'm sure you will reach the same conclusion. How thoughtful you are, Mr. Solms. Thank you for your gentle guidance. Kazuma tripped and fell. It has to be the fact that he's... Wait, what is this? Is this like a shadow?
Yes!
Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then his fist just doesn't seem quite right. Oh, I was going for the shadow, but yeah, that makes sense. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you may say. As though he were gripping something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Solms, show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madame. Would I keep you in suspense? Yes, you would. You actually would. This is what I found. Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Yes, you're right. A crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us? It tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Observation, Mr. Naruto. That is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizingly close. How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist? This is the final clue. The last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe. Find the answer with your own eyes.
Yes!
There, Blow. Miss Pavlova, on your ear there. I see you have a crescent moon as well. Oh. What? And on your other ear, there seems to be a crescent moon missing. The little link holding it on must have broken, I suppose. Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there is only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Asogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night, in Mr. Asogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment where the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. But then the question is, why did Mr. Asogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh, no. Angel? No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? There she goes. You know, this kind of feels like unfair for her. Like, she really didn't have any ill intent. It was just all an accident. When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship, and then, when I was at last in this cabin, and I could relax a bit after this horrible long day. Tarka, wait! Hold up chat and pouring myself some more water. I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy. But nothing worked. Darka would not come back. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. The young man from your country. He was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friends in my arms again, I was going to leave the man's cabin. Just a moment. Sorry, bud. Oh, yes? I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah, of course. You're Nikola Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina. Huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. So you've run away. Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. And he just went and... Oh, so she thought that he was going to pull the cord. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust him? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait! I shouted. And then... Darka jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet. And... As he turned around to look at me. I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. And that's when you went to fetch help? From Seaman Stroganov, who was on duty out in the passageway. I heard Nina cry out and thud on floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like leaf. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Biff. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go." So you decided to help, and that's when you arranged things in Kazma's cabin to make it look like I did it. So that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door? Yes. I went into cabin and I looked around, to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. And then I found Stowaway, in wardrobe, still sleeping. Right, that's when he found me. So you work out a plan, to lay the blame on the Stowaway. I closed wardrobe doors and put back stained papers. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Susato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged young man's body to a good place, and used ink that was spilling to write down the floor. I wrote wardrobe, so that person who found him could look inside wardrobe and find stuff. And tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up. I see. But it was dark in the cabin, I didn't notice the other half. Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished the job. By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway. Yes. Accordingly, the SS Buria did indeed come to an emergency halt at a little after 2 a.m., thus inciting the bolt on the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said that you told Kazuma about the fact that you would run away from your homeland. It's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first. That made me scared. What he said first? What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. It's an inspector. What's his friend? Yes, meaning me. Who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could put the bell cord, I... May I stop you for a moment? Please, Miss Pavlova. It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but... he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done. No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not done yet, it seems. There's one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yes. What action was the victim really about to take at that moment? And we determine whether the young man's case was directed. First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe. Still, that cabin has been my home for the entire voyage. So this is how the cabin looked last night when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-san. Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes! If there's one thing I've learned today, is that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truth. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze where it lands. So, when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what was exactly Kazuma looking at?
Take that!
Considering everything that had happened last night. Certainly, it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord. Yes. However, what is directly beside the bell cord? The wardrobe. The wardrobe. And, more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping sound. Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night? Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. Another opinion? Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intended to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if, between them, they might be able to help in some way, no doubt. Oh no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Asogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. Miss Pavlova, want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But, unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did. And that will never change. I hope you will never forget that. I'm sorry. Really, I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Buria was finally laid to rest. 9th of January, 7:14 p.m. SS Buria, first class cabin passageway. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now then? Once we reach Great Britain, we'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Mr. Soames can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia then? No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's an exile for life. I see. And the door. Seaman Stroganoff? I've wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you, about how you lost a good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police. That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Kazuma's death feels like such a waste, but... Well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. Much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the council to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes. I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So, you should get back to your cabin now. It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun then. To think that only days ago, Asuma and I were laughing together about how we would tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is someone weeping? Susato-san? Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Hosonaga just told me I should pack. You know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. No. I still can't believe this has happened. Can't believe someone's life can be over. Just like that. Susato-san. He had such grand ideas for this Britain to Great Britain. For this visit to Great Britain. So many dreams. Now they've been cruelly taken away. Just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth. That it was just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. Too much, Naruhodo-san. Just too much. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Inspector. My duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain. But I failed. And caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've let everyone down. And I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now, at least. Huh? Ha 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 ha! Surprise, bitch! Surprised, Mr. Naruhodo. What? What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. I'm going to keep that for later. Simply that in my head, I think I should always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I decided to restore them. For all time's sake, shall we say? You are a stowaway after all. He thinks this is funny. Mr. Jones. We do appreciate all your assistance. I would like to thank you, from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences? I need to drink some more water. The loss of your companion is truly heart-rending. I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. Shall be disembarking at the next port, in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute! It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of this study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be the one lawyer. No, it was to be the one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be? In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no. I don't care for me, but... Poor Susato-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes. Miss Susato? Yes? Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? Ah! But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England's shore. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study, to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo, that's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all of that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector. Every single day. Will you let me try? And if, by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I will take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Kazuma. He said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Susato? I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled inspector's friends say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, it's madness. Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating? Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest, give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character, no? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. From the early hours this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. The Inspector! After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I would do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next, and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder. Would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer. I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all. Thank you. And, Mr. Naruhodo, I would like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in the Asogi clan for generations. Very well. I accept. I will treasure it always. So then, Miss Susato, it seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. I wonder if the sword is going to be like a murder weapon in a future case or something like that. It will be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you two. Goodness, what is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. What? Should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior. No, you were in shock. You had just found out about me stowing away. And the cabin door was locked from the— No! I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should have never thrown you. And not just once, but 5 times. That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take hold of me and throw it. Throw me! Do it! Don't even think about it. No, I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess, I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling. Oh, well, in a way. It's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujutsu technique. Apparently it's called the Susato takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. How beguiling. I am a practitioner of the combative arts myself. I am a somewhat accomplished boxer. There he goes, dancing around again. I wonder if you would be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw. Yes, I'd be honored. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam. Oh, of course. Oh, she's going to throw us again, right? Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Hiya! As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Oh yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Susato takedown, is it? Actually, no. That was a Susato squash. She just puts her name in every attack that she has. That's very cute. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Karuma? That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels his wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain, and I will sacrifice anything to make it happen. I would appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Where it is, I will see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me know. That important thing he had to do. I still don't know what that was. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. And that is the end of the case number 2. Okay, we're going to leave it here for today. And thank you, Blue Parrot and Label, for being here and lurking around. And yeah, let's just do a little switch. Perfect. Now then, let us see if there's anyone streaming so that we can raid them. There doesn't seem to be anyone in particular streaming right now. So with that, I will just simply close stream. Bye everyone, and thank you for being here.